Hi everyone, I'm Paulette Morrissey from Tulip Square, and today our little project is going to be potato sacks. Everybody needs potato sacks to make baked potatoes in your microwave. These are really quick and easy to make. I'm going to show you how to make them in two sizes. The small size will be for baking 1 or 2 potatoes, and I'll show you how to make a different size that'll hold 3 or 4 potatoes. These are really handy to use, and you can also put other things in here like sweet potatoes, and if you make the bigger size you can even put corn on the cob in here. How easy is that? So let's get started and make some potato bags. Okay, now we're going to make our potato bags. I'm going to show you 2 different sizes. There's a small which hold 1 or 2 potatoes, and a large which will hold 3 or 4 potatoes. They're also good for sweet potatoes and a couple other kind of vegetables, and the bigger one will also hold corn on the cob, which is kind of handy. Now the first thing I want to stress is when you're making anything that you're going to put in the oven, your microwave I mean, you need to make sure you're using 100% cotton. Your batting has to be 100% cotton, your fabric has to be 100% cotton, and your thread has to be 100% cotton. You don't want anything in there that will cause sparks or start on fire, and polyester thread has been known to spark and start on fire, so you want 100% cotton of everything. Also, after you use one of these and you put your potatoes in it and you make your potatoes and you're done, it's not a bad idea to throw it in the wash each time so you don't get any buildup of oils and potato debris or anything in there. And when we're done, I will explain to you the easiest way to use these with the potatoes. Okay, so for the small potato, you're going to need 2 pieces of fabric, your outside and your lining, and each one is 10 by 18 inches. And you'll need a piece of batting, cotton batting, also the same size, 10 by 18 inches. For your large one that will hold 3 or 4 potatoes, you're going to need the 2 pieces of fabric, 12 by 21 inches each, and your batting, 12 by 21 inches. And you start by laying down your batting, your 100% batting, 100% cotton actually. Put your lining piece down right side up, and put your outside piece right side down so the 2 right sides are facing each other. Just like so. Make sure you line it up nice and smooth. You can pin around the edges or clip around the edges if you need to, but it just needs to be nice and uniform. And then we're going to sew around the edges and leave a spot open for turning to the right side. So we're going to do that now. We're going to go to our sewing machine and do some sewing. I'm going to use a seam that's a little more than 1/4 of an inch, but not quite a 1/2 inch. And I left a spot about 3 inches wide for turning it to the right side. Clip all those threads. I'm going to trim off the corners. Get rid of the bulk. Be careful not to cut your threads in the very corners. Now, it's not a bad idea to press this right now. I'm not going to, but it isn't a bad idea. This is some nice smooth fabric, so I shouldn't have any trouble with it. What I'm going to do next is see where the opening is. I'm going to turn the edges to the inside. And this is where I'm saying you could iron this, but I'm not anywhere near my ironing machine right now, my ironing board right now, so I'm just going to tuck it in nicely, and I'm going to clip it so when I get to that part it's nice and even with everything else. There. Whoops, I missed. Okay, so now what you're going to do is this piece gets folded up. You're going to put a fold at about 8 inches. Now this does not have to be real exact, and actually I'm going to go 8 inches from the other end. And you'll see why it doesn't have to be exact, but 8 inches is a good measure. 7.5 to 8, I would say. And you're just going to fold that up, and then you're going to take the top and fold it down so that these 2 pieces overlap between 1.5 inches and 2 inches. no more than 2 inches, and about 1.5 inches is probably sufficient. What you want to do is get enough of an overlap so that the steam is trapped inside the bag, but you still have it not so much that you can't get in here. Like if I put this way down here, you'd have a heck of a time getting in here to get at your potatoes. So keep this about, let's say, about 1.5 inches, okay? And then we're just going to sew up the 2 sides. When you get to this area here where the extra flap is, you're going to have a lot of layers of fabric here, so go really slow and take your time, and if you can do it, double the stitches right there, because that's the part that's going to be pulled on when you're using it. So make sure all your layers here, whoops, make sure all your layers are lined up. Make sure it's even across. Now if you want to pin this or clip it, go ahead, whatever you need to do to keep it straight. And then I'm just going to sew this, and I'm going to stay fairly close to the edge, maybe 1/4 inch or less. And you might need to help it along at the beginning. There's a lot of layers here in the edge. And I'm going to go to the other side and do the same thing. Okay, now we're going to go to the other side. Make sure everything is nice and even here. And I'm going to make sure my little pieces here are lined up nicely yet, and they are. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to sew on one side first. Back tack a little bit. And right when I get to that clip, I'll take it out. So now I'm sewing up the sides and closing up that opening that I left at the same time. Coming up to the next clip, taking it out. Clip that. Get rid of our thread ends. And your potato bag is done. Ready to use. So now you know how to make potato bags if you didn't already know. You got a small one and a large one. The small one will hold 1 or 2 potatoes. The large one will hold 4 or maybe even 5 depending on the size of your potatoes. Make sure that you use only cotton fabric, cotton thread, and cotton batting when you make these because they go in your microwave. And speaking of microwaves, you're going to have to play with the wattage on your microwave to find out exactly how long they take to cook. At home, at my house, it takes about 6 minutes to make 1 or 2 potatoes. And what you need to do is after you've cooked them for maybe 4 minutes, just poke on the potato through the bag, and if it's soft, it's done, and if it's really feels firm yet, it's not quite done. Give it another half a minute or even a minute. And just play around and you'll get what works for you and your size of potatoes and your microwave. So that's all we have for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the like button below, subscribe if you can, and if you would like to be notified when we have new videos, just hit the little bell button and you'll be notified. And instead of watching a video, if you prefer not to have to rewind a video over and over, we also have a blog post on our website at tulipsquare.com where you can just read the blog for how to make these, and there's plenty of photographs on there and the step-by-step instructions. And if you prefer that to videos, that's there too. So it's all ready for you, whichever you want to do. And that's all for today. Bye bye everybody, have a good day, and I'll see you next time.